Every time, I swear, this phone. Every time, I think it knows when we're going live. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of the Best Case Scenario. I'm D Johnson. As always, I'm joined by a friend of the people. Um, Interesting afternoon to talk about some things. Get right into it. First of all, thank y'all for joining us. If you're here, if you're not, you'll listen in later on. But always click that, notification, the bell, the notification bell. Like, subscribe, hit us up. Soapbox Heroes always got good, hard hitting information for you to tune into and listen to. So, let's try to get it together, y'all. There we go.
Get some chest. Get some chest muscles up in here.
Doing reps, it sounds like. Yeah. So, a couple of things. We like to keep it short and sweet for y'all. So, we're going to talk about a couple of things today. First thing, like I said, I want to get right into it. I want to talk about the Amber Guyger murder trial. Both of them, Gene. Was that the right way to say his name?
Both of them, Gene. Both of them, Jean. I think he's Jean. I think it's a Jean.
Okay. Of course, we all know last year he was murdered in his home, unarmed, of course. The officer that went into his house is saying, of course, that, even then she said it was a mistake. She thought she was at her own apartment. Me and a friend of the people were talking about this even before they brought this to us because this is what makes it interesting. We always try to figure out whether it's even worth talking about. And it's critical to talk about it because as a police officer, in my opinion, you're trained to look out for things. You're trained to look out for, to know the lay of the land where you are. And for you to be a whole floor above where you're supposed to be, you say that was because you blame it on the markings, or you thought it was your apartment, but they have neon lights on the door.
Well, okay. Well, last year, as you guys probably already know, Amber Guyton, a police officer, Dallas PD, went into the wrong house and shot a civilian that was in his boxers eating a bowl of ice cream
in his own home.
So after much to do, maybe about a week, it was like 2 or 3 weeks later, right?
I think it was about 2 or 3.
Yeah, they did arrest her, charged her with manslaughter. A grand jury did find enough evidence to charge her with murder, and so now the murder trial has started. And so we have a little better idea of the defense line that Amber Guyger is going to be taking in this trial. Her defense is that she was afraid for her life, that she thought that she was going to be attacked when she entered the wrong home, and she responded by shooting. She says she did announce herself as a police officer.
Twice.
Right.
She says she did that twice.
Though she was off duty. So.
And very tired, they say. Say she was on she just come off a 14-hour shift, so she was tired, and that may have impaired her judgment, or not even her judgment, but impaired her ability to tell where she was at the time. Again, I'm going to state, if you're a police officer, you're trained to know where you are.
Well, even if, let's just say, 12-hour shift,
14.
Trying, whatever.
Okay.
Long day.
I like to give
you
them more
had
hours
a bad day.
Case.
You had a long day, and you're tired, and you did walk into the wrong house. Let's say all of that happened, because it's like, to us, it's kind of like weird, but at the same time, it's an honest mistake. It's an honest mistake. You walk into the wrong house. It's an honest mistake. I've done it before.
I've never walked into the wrong house.
I've walked into the wrong house before.
And I've been blitzed, drunk out of my mind, and probably high as the sky.
And you know what? As a matter of fact, just the other day, I went to the store. I walked to the store. I was walking home. I'm, on my phone, chilling. I'm not really doing nothing. And every single one of our townhomes here, they look the same. They're all pretty much the same. I'm walking up my stairs, and then I noticed that I've walked up the wrong stairs. And so I had to walk back down the stairs. And
Were you distracted by anything?
I was on my phone.
And so, that's exactly what the prosecution is hitting on with this situation, which is she was on her phone.
Well, if that's what happened, that's all honest. It can happen. Like, all of that is honest, and none of that is against. It doesn't matter. A police officer is a normal person. It just happens to wear a police
public
uniform.
servant, and they're
But they're
trained.
No, wait, they're not trained. No, look, they're not trained to never make mistakes.
Well, they're not trained to make
mistakes.
I agree with you on that. But you are trained to have some general idea.
It's a silly mistake. It's a silly mistake.
Unless you're distracted, which is part of the case that they're presenting, which is she was on the phone.
Which is not against the law. There's nothing wrong with it's not against the law to be distracted.
It's not against the law to be distracted. It's against the law to be distracted to kill somebody.
But this is my point. When she realized, oops, I'm in the wrong house, the first thing you're gonna say is, oh, sorry, my bad, I'm in the wrong house. Let me turn around. Like, I wouldn't know if someone was going to attack me if I came in the wrong house. Right. I opened the door, like, oh, my bad. Oh, they would have to catch up with me from behind or something because I'd already be like so embarrassed that I'd be gone. Somehow, some way, she looked in the house, saw she's in the wrong house, then decided that she was going to somehow ended up pulling her gun and shooting into that wrong house. That is where the disconnect lies for me. Going to the wrong house. Okay, and who knows if that's even if it really happened that way? Who knows if she actually really went to the wrong house?
There are reports that she had filed noise complaints against him before that. Mm-hmm. So I'm pretty sure she knew what apartment was his apartment.
Right, but I'm not saying that. I know who my neighbors are. I accidentally walked up their stairs, almost walked through the front door.
If you send the police to your apartment, or you call the landlord and you report the apartment number, you know where they live. And right. Again, I like I said, because of the fact that
accident.
We're talking about a manslaughter charge. If a grand jury was able to look at that and see that there was possibly a murder attached, we could all just throw out the whole argument of whether it was accidental.
My thing is this: I'm giving her the absolute benefit of the doubt and everything else to show you how egregious it actually is to shoot in that situation.
Well, you got it right. You're right about
because that. If she really was, I had a complaint against this guy. I fucking hate this guy. He's getting on my goddamn nerves. I'm walking into his house and I'm gonna shoot him. That's murder, right? But I'm gonna give you all benefits of doubt and say, even if everything that you fucking said was true, shooting was the dumbest thing. Like, shooting was still very, very, very.
Yeah, it was about the best.
Like, you know what I mean? It was worse. It would have been better if it really did happen, where she's like, I'm tired of this dude, and out of anger came to the dude's house and shot him. That's totally different. Maybe, I came to the right house and we to talk to him about, like, look, I'm tired of filing these complaints. I'm just trying to, see if we can't work something out. Shit get out of hand and shoot. To me, that would probably been a better story for her to kick it with.
Right. Like, I agree with you, because like now it's like people are, of course, there are people that are looking at her story and then trying to see how much of it is true, because she said that she was in fear of her life, and her one of Mr. Jean's family came through. Jean, hopefully I'm saying that right, but Mr. Jean's family came to the court with a shirt with the shorts on, the pictures of the shorts that he was wearing. There was no pockets on them shorts. Where was his hands that you couldn't see him?
I thought they were actually like boxer shorts.
Yeah,
like he was in his underwear.
The point is, like, if you couldn't see his hands, I get that. I mean, the man was watching TV, so it's possible that his hands was in front of him. But I mean, is that just the reason to shoot somebody? Like, I don't know.
I don't think you should see. Even if you see a stranger on the street, you don't just shoot. Like, you don't just see people and be like, he looks scary, let me shoot him. You understand what I'm saying? Like, there are people, I'm sure in Texas especially, that open carry everywhere they go. I remember when I was in Arizona, in California, they don't really do it. You don't do it like that. When I was in Arizona, it was not uncommon to see people walking around with guns on their hip. They weren't walking around. They weren't walking around shooting people.
Right. I was in Flagstaff, Arizona, and I actually remember sitting down to breakfast, and a very attractive young lady was serving me breakfast. And she had a Glock 19 on her hip. And it was business as usual. Like, if anything, I'm the guy that looked out of place, because I looked at it like, oh, that's a gun. She was like, yeah, it's a very, very nice one, isn't it? I was, it was a joke. Like, get over it. It's a gun. It's here. You're in Arizona. Act like you know. When in Rome. So Dallas isn't a state where that's not uncommon. But for Mr. Jean to not even have any weapon near him that could have made himself a threat. If you can't see his hands, this is the other thing about her story that I have a problem with. If you couldn't see his hands, how could you assess a threat? Like, why wouldn't you? You have escalating methods of detaining a suspect, or even uh, de-escalating a threat. You went straight to your pistol. Straight to your pistol. I mean, people always say that there needs to be training, but
it would have been bad enough if you walked in that bitch and tased his ass.
I mean, like, right?
But he would have been alive.
He would have been alive to be like, I forgive her for it. You know what I'm saying? Like plead clemency on behalf of the court. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's just the escalation of weapons used by police officers is something that I think should be a very, very big point that comes out of this, because you being, whether or not you're off duty for 8 or 12 hours, you still possess a weapon for 24. And you possess the right to carry it. You possess somewhat of a license to use it even in off-duty situations. I bring to light the situation in Corona with the young man who was mentally ill, who was shot, and the cop was 20 feet from the guy when he shot him and his family. And the judge decided to not look into it because it's a police officer. So there's a fair amount of license that you have as a cop to shoot somebody. I just think we have to start looking at this when it's like in your own home. You know what I mean? Like, that's a little dodgy, dude. Like, you shoot a person at a big box warehouse store. You shoot somebody in their house. There has to be some sort of an example for that, because I mean, what we're setting the precedent for is we can shoot people in their own house, and that's not a good way to live. If you don't want people out here arming themselves to the teeth and really taking it to the police, I think Amber Geiger should definitely be an example.
You know what? I don't see, like, if she gets acquitted, people, I don't see any kind of doomsday scenarios or anything like that. Just simply because it's been worse.
Well, I mean, Dallas has had some pretty. They've been tested. So let's just to call it lightly. Dallas has had a lot of tests over the last couple of months, or the last couple of years, I should say. Notwithstanding the Black Lives Movement march that was shot up, and it was found that it was a black, shooter after that. And it was that was just a bad scene for everybody involved, and the way that they treated the actual organizers of that march. Shout out to Corey Holcomb. Mm-hmm. It was a travesty to the community, because it really set us back a couple of years on the fact that they didn't want to take us seriously. It's not the white people shooting us; it's you guys shooting you. That was kind of the story we took there. But when it comes to something like going into someone's house, you know what I mean? That's like the one sovereign right I think every American has. If you work hard, you go out, you make yourself your living, you should be able to come home and eat your ice cream and your boxers. You shouldn't have to worry about getting shot in the fucking chest in your own home by somebody who's a stranger to you. That's supposed to be a public servant. Mm-hmm. So
I think there could be more to the story that's coming out. So as
detail oriented as cops have
as the evidence comes out, I'm sure there's going to be even more meat on the bone. I mean, there's even reports that they knew each other. Some people went so far as to say they were romantically involved. There's all kinds of scenarios.
There's a lot of shades to it.
There's a lot of different scenarios to it.
The romance tip I did hear a while back, that does offer some looking into if it was the case. But
I think that would have been open and shutters though. Like that would have already been like
done. But here's the thing: like the one part of this story that does intrigue me too is to look at morality, simply because she was cheating with her married partner. So when you talk about somebody saying she's very, they had to stop the trial because she's very, very emotional. She's very.
Did stop the trial.
Stop. They had to recess. They had to recess.
Yeah.
Not stop the trial.
I would say that they don't.
We use the right terms. They have to stop trial. All right, we're all done here.
Yeah,
we're all done here.
They won't stop. They're like
Thank you for coming out. God bless
Bad
you.
Boy Records. They ain't gonna stop.
Shut it down.
It's always
we go.
You worry about everybody. We all emotional.
These two
we go on trial. Everybody's emotional.
I got vacation plans. Fucked up because we did this, girl. No. They recessed the trial because she's very, very emotional. She cannot keep her composure on the stand. She says she feels horrible. She feels that or she wishes that it were him that had the gun instead of her. So
That's what she said.
that is what she said. She was quoted to.
But why do you wish he would have had the gun instead
so
of her?
that she didn't have to live with the thought of killing someone every day?
So that he could have killed her.
I mean, that's
I would rather
her form of contrite
was it? I would rather he had killed me than me had killed him.
Or that I'd rather he had a gun. So
how
that
about this?
Could be a
how about this?
shooting.
I rather when I made the mistake of walking into that apartment, I rather that I had turned around and apologized
instead of saying, "Hey, I'm the police." Like, I don't.
Why make it another like grim? Why make it grim? Like, I wish he would have shot me instead. That's how she's trying to be.
That
level of contrition is disingenuous.
It is very
because we put you back in that situation.
You shoot him again.
No, we put you back in that situation, but he had the gun and you didn't. First of all, he probably wouldn't have shot you. Second of all, to say, if I walk into the wrong house, I wish he would have shot me.
Well, Texas has a stand your ground law, I believe, just like Florida does.
But
if you're in my house, I can shoot you. So maybe she did want to.
No, but somebody walking into the wrong fucking house is still not a reason to shoot somebody.
Fair enough. I mean, we've seen stories that are just outrageous with the way people are treating the doorstep. But fair enough. You're right.
And 80% of stand your ground defenses lead to conviction.
Yeah, they really do.
It's like almost like it's
hard nowadays. Well, because of like the way people are shooting people.
There was actually a guy the other day that remember the guy that came out the store and pushed the guy and he shot him.
Yeah. I saw that. He got convicted of murder.
Yeah,
because he came out. He sought that. Because he sought that argument out. I knew that was going to turn into a murder case, or at least a manslaughter case. When I saw the video of him accosting his wife, like you have a right to protect your family, and if some stranger is yelling in the car at your woman, you probably will come out push him. I mean, I don't know of a human being who shares that bond of marriage that wouldn't defend their wife or husband that way.
And just because somebody pushes you, don't let her kill you.
You're right. You can't immediately shoot somebody.
People need to learn how to get in a fight.
He shot a nigga before he even got off his ass. That was just like the worst way to do it too. But anyway,
learn how to get in a fight.
Take a knuckle up. Take a dust up. If you haven't had a course, I advise anybody who's afraid of getting punched to go take a boxing class. It's not as bad as you think. Get punched. You might go to sleep, and that might be needed. You might need a nap.
Sometimes getting punched is bad.
I've seen some people have brain damage,
but getting pushed is rarely bad.
I mean, if you get hit in the chest with a two-hand touch, you shouldn't be shooting people. That was my point. But the reason I bring up the morality aspect of this conversation in this particular case is because she was cheating with her partner. Mm-hmm. That's confirmed. One of the things that she didn't bring to light that the prosecutor is bringing to light is the fact that only 2 hours shortly after murdering. Sorry, because we haven't had a conviction yet. After the assault occurred or the incident occurred, she was texting her partner of an intimate fashion. Mm-hmm. So that's why I said when you talk about her maybe being romantically involved, that could be an angle that the prosecution might be looking into. But all in all, should cops be held to a different standard, man? Like, should they be held to a higher court?
What we're gonna do is I'm going to read a little bit of the Fox News interpretation of the story. There's a story of the prosecution arrest in the trial of Amber Guyger. And then I'm going to read some of the USA Today because there's definitely going to be two different I'm guessing there are going to be two different perspectives on this. I don't know what angle. Fox News, I don't know.
Fox News is wild with their shit, bro.
So let's see. And it says here, who's in the byline? Frank Miles. Yeah, Frank Miles. He's a black guy. So, a black fox.
I haven't heard this article yet, so Frank Miles, I have high expectations.
Texas prosecutors rested their case Thursday afternoon in the murder trial of a white Dallas police officer who fatally shot her unarmed black neighbor. Period, right?
I mean,
prosecutors argued that Botham Jean was no threat to Amber Guyger, claiming that Jean was in his living room eating a bowl of ice cream when Guyger entered his apartment last September. I bet you it was good too. Like you're just munching on that ice cream.
What it was like?
Shit turn.
What if that's what started the Blue Bell Challenge? Like but it's like her. I don't know. That was trying to be funny. Sorry, y'all. The Blue Bell Challenge still fucks my brain. Grown ass men. I don't even understand, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. But continue, man. Mm-hmm.
Fox 4 News reported that prosecutors tried to emphasize the differences between Geiger's third-floor haul and Jean's fourth-floor haul, undercutting the defense's claim that Geiger mistakenly entered the apartment believing it to be hers and shot Jean because she thought he was a burglar in his boxers eating ice cream. Because that's what burglars do.
But I mean, stranger things have happened.
Burglars. Meaning I caught you in the act of burglary.
Right, but
you're in my house doesn't mean
if he was in the house and it was dark and the only thing that was on with the TV, and let's say he was in front of the TV, line of sight is obscured. You can't really see what's going on.
Could both of them Jean possibly? I mean, you go in the house and you're armed. You see somebody with a bowl of ice cream in their boxers. Could they have possibly gone in the wrong house? Like, why don't we give people, like, I don't understand. Like, she's a police officer and she's supposed to be making like judgment calls.
Because I mean, like, but
and that's what I was saying earlier. Was just a lack of judgment.
This is just a lack of judgment. This is the thing about police in the United States. So I was watching a video earlier today, and this dude gets pulled over. And the traffic stop's going all right. Everything is cool. The chick comes up to the car. She's the second on the scene. She starts giving the dude a little sass, and you can see it already. You can see that it was going to go bad if it was going to go bad, and it was going to be hers, the trigger. But as the video progresses, the dude that was there on scene first, he's talking to the guy. Everything is cool. And then out of nowhere, she asks the dude if he has a weapon in the car, and he goes, "Yeah, I'm a registered Smith & Wesson. It's in the trunk." Well, he didn't even tell him where it was. The guy came back. She tells him, "Hey, wooty wop. You know what? There's a gun in the car, so I think we need to check." Dude come to the car. He asks the guy. The guy says, "Yeah, it's in the trunk." Immediately, dude start talking about some get out the car. When dude was like, "Bring your supervisor in," Shorty pulled the pistol out, put it straight to his head. Completely a horrible lack of judgment. Because if you go pull a gun on somebody that hasn't even done anything but comply with your orders just because you heard they have a weapon, now you're criminalizing gun owners that do it legitimately. Right. Like the guy came back, the cop that was the guy on scene, he came back to the car and immediately told her, "I know there's a gun in the car." He hit for a registered weapon. So what was the point of you getting all antsy and pulling a gun out? So
just trying to get him to comply with what she wanted him to do.
Right.
Because he immediately began to comply at that point.
Right. The only thing that he asked for was a supervisor because he didn't like the way that they were trying to proceed with them.
She was mad because that's a totally another show. Because that's the disrespect. Like when cops feel like they're being disrespected, they go absolutely too far. And even though most of the time it is black people, I've seen it go both ways, like with anybody that they believe they're above.
Right. This was a Latino gentleman in the video. It's on Police the Police. If you guys ever want to really go and look at some shit like that, I'm not trying to convolute the moment with that particular story. But my point on it was like most of the people that were commenting on it was like, look at this scared princess type white girl out enforcing the law with a weapon. Like there was no need, like even at some point in the video when the dude is getting cuffed as they're getting out of the car and he's asking, "Why am I being detained?" She's like, "Stop resisting." Like,
he's like, "I'm not." Oh yeah,
he's recording it, and he told him from the gate, "I'm recording this." So when she's like, "Stop resisting," he's like, "Ma'am, you see, I'm not resisting, and I'm recording this again, just so you know," because that's the dialogue.
And the cops had body cams. So
right, and that's what I mean. Like, but at the same time, when you're pressed up against somebody, they do that maneuver on purpose. They do that press against your body maneuver just to keep the body cam from being able to see what you're doing. But his camera had the angle outside the car to show that he's compliant with everything. And for you to use the word "stop resisting," even if that's on your body cam, that's an immediate charge against somebody, even if they've done nothing. Mm-hmm. So, when you talk about somebody walking into somebody's house armed with a weapon and you're saying, "I'm the police," how does he know you're the police? Like there's a lot of the aspects. But I mean, again, I can understand walking in the house, seeing a shadowy figure, and you might be the tired excuse don't work for me. Just because, we all be tired at the end of the day, but our first instinct ain't to shoot shit in front of us.
Right. Walking into somebody's house, if it was truly an accident, that shit happens. The shooting.
I will actually say that. Nothing go back to recant. I might have done that
in
once.
no way does it justify the shooting.
Yeah, it just doesn't. There's nothing. There's no excuse that. I mean, I've listened to her testimony. I see you talk. I listened to the testimony a little bit after we started talking about it this morning when I wanted to dig into it a little bit more. And it's like I hear all this emotion. I hear all this grief, and it's not that I don't understand that she feels bad about it, because why wouldn't she feel bad about it?
I think when you have a gun, you should still do a lot of the same things you would do if you didn't have a gun.
That's the whole point of gun ownership. Like, there's no reason that civilians are even supposed to be held to higher accords with guns than police officers are, because they know the damage guns cause when they're used incorrectly. But long story short, a lack of judgment, that's just something that we can't blow by when it comes to the police officers or trying to help change the police state we live in now, because
but she was off duty, so her whole judgment, her whole little thing should have changed, the way she was operating and moving.
Exactly.
So under cross-examination from Geiger's attorneys, Texas Ranger Michael Addox said that investigators concluded that John's body was 13 to 15 feet away from the door of his apartment, bolstering the defense argument that Geiger views John as an approaching threat. Prosecutors say John was not shot anywhere, was shot where his body was found, claiming that the victim was closer to 30 feet from Geiger when she opened fire. Geiger, who was off duty but in uniform at the time of the shooting, was later fired from the Dallas police force. You know who said she shouldn't be fired?
Dallas police.
Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz said that she shouldn't have been fired.
Not shot.
He's an idiot. On the trial second day, prosecutors showed the jury body camera video from Officer Michael Lee, one of the first responders on the scene. I thought it was my apartment, Geiger says to Lee. The trial began Monday with prosecutors telling the jury that on the day of the shooting, Geiger exchanged sexually explicit text messages with her lover and partner, Officer Martin Rivera. All that is really irrelevant.
It's really not, though, because what you're doing is, and read that further, because
in one text she told Rivera she was super horny today.
Look,
okay.
Here's the problem that you got to look at it from an angle of she's feigning innocence. She's saying she's innocent because she made a harmless mistake, but cheating with a married person is not a harmless mistake.
Wait, but that's not evidence in the case. Like, that doesn't make a fucking difference at all. Like, they're doing this so what? So people will think a certain way about it. The only reason you put this in is you're trying to create a certain way you look at it. Like, she's liable for this. You don't need to pile on with irrelevant. That's irrelevant.
Well, see, the reason I find there's relevance to it is because she was using that. She's now she's using that as a reason that she was distracted and possibly was on the floor.
She brought it in.
She brought it in. That's what I'm saying. Like, they presented the evidence,
but the fact that she started doing that doesn't mean anything.
No. It only questions her morality and saying she feels bad. Like
what if she said she was sharing cat videos with a homegirl?
That might have been a little bit less suspect than I'm cheating with my husband and I'm cheating with someone's husband and I'm lying about it. Like, dog, you got to remember what type of state she's being tried into. It's Texas. It's very close to the Bible Belt.
But that doesn't. That's why. Look,
I mean, of course, it's about opinion. Of course, it's about opinion.
If they would have put she was texting, she could have been texting anything. It does not matter. Like, if someone was texting and driving, right? You're not supposed to be texting and driving.
It's just a question of your morality.
Now, you're texting and driving, and the police pull you over. What are you texting? None of your goddamn business. You saw me texting.
If you're an adulteress, right? If you're an adulteress, bro, and I mean, because it is against the law in some states to commit adultery. If it is in fact the law in Texas that it's against the law to commit adultery,
it's not.
You should look that up.
Hold on. They're not prosecuting her for adultery.
Saying. They're just saying.
So what you're saying is irrelevant.
She has other aspects of her. She has other aspects of her personality that can lead to question whether or not she's truly the victim in the situation where she made a harmless mistake.
That doesn't make. All that is irrelevant. It does not matter who she's fucking or who she's thinking about fucking or who she's talking to.
In that case.
It's relevant that she was texting because she brought it up. But it ain't relevant.
I mean, it's kind of relevant if she's saying that she was so sorry, she was so destroyed about it.
You're trying to sell it. You're trying to sell it. You're trying to sell it a magazine or a
that you're telling me that she was so contrite and she feels so bad about it. She's on stage crying her fucking eyes out, but 2 days later she was trying to get laid. Come on, son.
Wait a minute. there's people that have died, that have watched their best friend, children, whatever, die, go home and have sex.
The same day?
The same fucking day.
The same
All right.
day?
But it's whether it happens or not, that's nobody's fucking business.
Fair enough.
All right.
It certainly would.
Why would they put that in a news report? It's not nobody's fucking. It doesn't fucking matter.
Because in certain situations, when it's a matter of whether a person could or couldn't do that, because it does come down to that. If the evidence shows that she has a questionable character, a lot of what she's saying.
It doesn't make your character questionable. Having sex with someone, whether married or not, none of that makes your character.
Helping somebody betray somebody else is a very, very questionable thing to do. I don't know. That's just my opinion. I've been religious or not. If you know someone's married and you fucking their wife,
it's irrelevant to this case. State District Judge Tammy Kemp said the trial will resume on Friday with the defense presenting its case. So,
thank you, Todd. It is important.
Frame of mind is important.
It shapes the way the
person
really.
Okay, so this is my question to you.
Yeah.
Is somebody more likely to shoot someone if they're horny?
I'm not. No. What does that have to do with it?
But you can't look, Tyrone. Character is important, but you cannot take in a criminal trial. You cannot take those things, and then that's like when I'll give you a good example. Remember when the police officer in Ferguson shot Michael Brown?
Yeah. Do
you remember when they said, well, just a few minutes before that, Michael Brown went into this liquor store and he stole these cigars. And then he's known as this and a bully this and that and this, right? The officer that pulled the fuck up didn't know shit about that. He didn't get called out there for that. Had nothing to do with that. But they took that and they tried to put that into account. Like, for some reason, Michael Brown got what he deserved. It had nothing to fucking do with it. What he was doing, it's about things that are relevant and things that are irrelevant. Character is important, but is the fact that he was sleeping with somebody, is that relevant?
It's completely relevant.
The evidence that helped get Wilson off.
Because character. Of the type of
no. Hold on. That was a miscarriage of. First of all, when Wilson got off for the Mike Brown case, that was a miscarriage of justice. And part of that miscarriage of justice was that they used irrelevant information in order to besmirch the character of Michael Brown.
Okay.
This is another instance of that. Now, I'm not saying she's guilty, not guilty. I'm saying
character matters.
I'm saying she's guilty. Look. I'm saying somebody's dead. It ain't no, and she's guilty of making someone dead.
Prime example: Richard Spector went to jail for killing old girl. Beretta did not go to jail. Robert Blake went to jail for killing his wife. It's because both of them were perceived to have very surly characters and were very harsh and being to women.
Right, but did that matter when the trial
sell a conviction? Because look, we're getting bogged down in the fact that you're not looking at it, or you're getting bogged down in the facts. Yes, it is irrelevant as far as factual.
That's all I want to know. Evidence. Is it irrelevant? Yes.
But it's relevant when you're coming into developing a character and a method for somebody doing what they're doing.
Hold on.
And what they're saying is,
so are you saying that? Wait.
If she can cover up an affair, she could just as easily cover up killing somebody.
Okay, then let's ask this question, because this is the question you asked from that. How many lies do you have to tell to be a liar?
For lying?
And have you surpassed that number?
Yes.
Okay, so no matter what, if you were to go to court for something, and they just said, you know what? I don't give a fuck what you're saying. You've told enough lies to be a liar for life.
In this particular case, bro.
No, hold on. Don't say this particular case. Because because you got to understand that when we're talking about justice, there's a scientific approach to justice.
Yes.
So you can't say hold on. So you can't say, well, when it comes to this case, what you have to say is when it comes to justice.
Let me say this.
When it comes to justice,
in terms of justice for this case and for the type of character.
Wait, Tyrone, her ability to lie is important. Who can't lie? Go ahead, Tyrone, and just put somebody on there that cannot lie. George Washington.
She took an oath. It's very easy for police to try to hide behind that oath by saying, hey, It was an accident. I'm here to serve the law. I would never hurt anybody. I would never be dishonest about.
But she's not saying that. What she's saying
she's saying it was an accident. And what the grand jury is indicting her on isn't manslaughter, because if they still felt like she actually had an accident and it was just, oh my God, it was just an unfortunate set of circumstances, they wouldn't be pressing for murder, bro.
Providing severity and consistency, that's subjective. So let me say this. Could she go back and say, well, when I was a kid, I worked in various charities. I was, you know what I mean? I'm down with climate strike. I'm like, you know what I mean? Look how great a person. I'm a great person.
I'm trying to explain.
Wait, have you ever heard of a character witness? But when you're a character witness, you're not just coming in. They're using it to connect it to the murder. How does her sleeping with someone else or having an affair? Hold on, because she's not really cheating on anyone. Okay. She's single.
Yeah.
So how is her having sex with someone make her besmirch her character?
Because the crime of adultery requires two parties.
And how does her cheating?
How does her
let's say she's committing adultery, whatever, fornication. How does her fornicating make her
no
more?
Hold on, is for single people.
Hold on.
Adultery is for married people. There's a difference.
Hold on, married people can fornicate too. But check this out.
Yes, they fornicate with an adulteress.
You can do both. When you're doing one, you can do both at the same time.
Okay.
So let's say like this.
Okay.
How does that make her more likely to be guilty or innocent? Well,
it does.
How does it make her more likely?
Remember when I asked you earlier why she was the first person that they put on the stand for her, or why she even took the stand? She took the stand because this is the reason. All her character witnesses get thrown out the window when you find out, she was boning a married dude. So now you can't really be said to have great judgment because you just clearly boned a married dude. It's about, like you said even earlier, it's a lack of judgment, dog. And if you can build a pattern of lack of judgment, it's much easier to convict a person based on the fact that if you had no other circumstantial evidence other than the fact that there was a murder and a gun at the scene, there's a way to build around the person things that they may do and you might be able to build a pattern.
We're not going to agree on this.
I'm just saying.
We're not going to. No, I know you're just saying we're not going to. I'm saying we're not going to agree on that.
I can respect that.
So, the church. So basically, the defense Friday, they're going to be presenting their side of the case, and I'm sure after that it's going to be the deliberation, or unless there is some kind of continuation of the defense case going into next week, we will give you an update next Saturday as far as what happened on that Friday about this case. So it's interesting to watch.
It is. I told you this would be a good conversation to have.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it less and less because your character. You admitted that you lied enough to be a liar for life. So I don't even know what the words come out of your mouth right now are even true.
Based on one lie makes you a liar, right? And I know I've lied to my mother. I know I've lied to a chick. I know when I've lied. I mean, I'm an honest person about it, though I'm able to own up to that. But she wasn't. Wearing a T-shirt that said "I'm boning."
Based on your character, we should move on to the next topic, and that is impeachment, baby. President Trump
on the hot
seat. To be or not to be
on the hot seat. You know what? Remember when? You know what I used to love is when you would watch a football coach play for a team, and it's like, is he going to get it this year?
Well, in an impeachment, Tyrone, in an impeachment, your character actually can be used against you because you don't have to actually commit a crime in order to be impeached. So you're absolutely.
But I like his question. Does it bother you that the defense is painting her character as a saint? That bothers the fuck out of me.
That the defense is painting her character as a saint. It doesn't matter.
The fuck out of me.
To me, like if I'm making a decision about, I want to see what happened that day, the facts that happened that day, and the thing is, what you're gonna. It's like because there is enough. Someone shoots somebody in a shooting, especially in a murder of this magnitude. There is enough forensic evidence to give you this happened, or you know what I mean. They can pretty much tell what happened. I think she's lying. But I didn't need the
Okay,
fact that
matters.
she's sleeping with someone, sleeping with her partner, doesn't tell me she's lying.
Okay.
The fact that she's getting up onto the stand and the testimony isn't matching up with the forensic evidence is what tells me she's lying. I don't give a fuck about her character. Is she lying right now?
And who wouldn't?
Because guess what? People of really good
But does
character.
the story
Hold on, people
sell?
of really good character will lie to stay out of prison.
Yeah, you're right, and that's what I'm saying. Like
Point
what
blank
you
period.
saying ain't what you're saying does. What you're saying has.
So does the
merit,
fact that
and
she had
I'm
a long day matter? I would say that the fact that she had a long day is a contributing factor to her walking in the wrong house. It's not a justification for murdering someone.
Todd, here's why it matters to me, right? Because we were, like I just said, you murdered somebody, you shot somebody, whatever you want to call it to yourself to rationalize to get yourself to sleep at night. 2 days later, you're still because she said she broke the relationship off because it was already morally wrong. That's why she said she broke it off, right?
Okay.
So you have a conscience. But 2 days after you murdered the nigga, you was calling the same dude you broke it off with, talking about, or you was texting the same dude illicitly.
Look, some people use sex.
I can't really fuck with that. That's all I'm saying.
Some people use sex when they're going through really stressful situations.
Well, you maybe shouldn't sex the person you said was morally wrong to do that with.
Right, no, wait, hold on. We're not gonna go there. And the reason we're not gonna go there is because we all probably have people that we were fucking with that we shouldn't have been fucking with. And I'll just leave it at that. So we're talking.
All right, so now we're talking about Trump.
Fucking with niggas, yeah, period. Everybody has that. So let's talk about.
Great segue.
Let's talk about Donald Trump right quick. Let's talk about Donald Trump, and let's talk specifically about what the Democratic Party is doing right now, which is the Democratic Party is, you know,
they're putting all
they're more than contemplating. They're now looking into impeachment inquiry has been launched.
In football terms, they're now scrimmaging this shit. Right. They're ready. They're doing game day dress ups. It's almost time.
Nancy Pelosi, and with the blessing or the agreement, also in agreement with Elizabeth Warren, have decided that they're going to narrow the scope of the investigation strictly to what is going on with the call with the Ukrainian prime minister.
Now, if you haven't been aware or you're not aware, simply put, President Trump and now confirmed Rudy Giuliani both had made phone calls to Ukraine to pressure them to do an investigation on Hunter Biden, Joe Biden's son. Now, you would say, what's the problem there? Well, because ironically, you'd have to investigate his dad as well, because his dad is how he got the job.
Right.
So, as we are slowly but surely finding out, now, with the help of Donald Trump being who he is, he's implicating Mike Pence as part of this as well. So this is one of the first times where I've actually seen, I was telling him earlier, it's one of the first times, this presidency, after its first 100 days, has not been anything but mired. Say it with me.
Mired
in controversy.
Mired in controversy.
There's never been a day we have not opened up the papers.
Mired in controversy.
Mired in controversy. It hasn't been too many days we've opened up a paper and not seen Donald Trump's name attached to something, whether it's socially immoral or saying something, socially morally saying something that's just out of whack, or just being accused of just egregious crimes that for a normal citizen, get your ass locked the fuck up.
Well, yeah. So lately, basically, so it all starts with during the 2016-ish, right? After during Trump's campaign, Hunter Biden actually becomes a board member of an energy company in the Ukraine. Now I don't know why. Well, I'm assuming because he is the son of the vice president and he had opportunities to, I guess, open doors for this energy company.
Hashtag gotta love nepotism.
This energy company came under investigation from the Ukrainian government for corruption. Mm-hmm. And during that time, Joe Biden actually got the prosecutor,
orchestrated the ouster of the
yes, exactly. So that way to thwart the investigation. Now, the official stance of the Obama administration, in terms of that, they actually are the ones. The Obama administration was actually the ones that wanted that prosecutor on the case. It turns out. So it's almost like a underhanded. Did Joe do something underhanded against the wishes of the Obama administration?
Right. Did he triple cross the double cross?
I don't know, but I know that it seems like, right now, by just narrowing the scope of this investigation to the Ukrainian case, it just seems to me like they're trying to cover something for Joe Biden. Okay.
Right.
And I think that Joe, he's running on character, on the soul of the country is at stake, on restoring the dignity of the presidency. He needs to resign.
Now, do you, in my opinion, and this is a question I had because we were talking about Elizabeth Warren earlier, do you think this could be what's fueling her surge?
No. I think that what's fueling her surge is totally something that's totally mutually exclusive to this.
Okay. So now, I was reading another article about this earlier today. There have been four polls recently done, one being the Huffington Post. I forget who they did it with. But interesting note. One of the polls had it 46% supporting impeachment. Another one had it at 42%. One of the other polls had it at 42%. So what you're looking at now isn't even so much that it's just Democrats. Because I hear a lot of people say, oh, the libtards, it's want to get rid of Trump. It's not just us anymore. It's starting to become an alarming amount of people that are actually wanting to know or wanting to distance themselves from a president who's just it just smells like corruption, dog.
Well, let's do this. Let's take the president label out of it and let's make him a regular person.
Oh my God.
Now, if it's Joe Schmo on the street, and the police kind of come up on you, there's something weird, some kind of credibility issue, something.
They catch a lawyer head in a hook.
What they're not gonna, they may not
Walmart bag.
They may not take you to jail. But they may launch an investigation.
Right.
And so the Democrats launching this investigation, of course, it doesn't mean that Trump's guilty of anything or not guilty of anything. It's an investigation. And because the people, the way that we check the president as a people, the way that we hold the president accountable as a people is that we elect officials whose job it is to hold the president accountable. Anytime that we want to get in the president's business, we should be able to do that. And it's sad that it has to come to a point where there has to be some kind of political expediency involved in order for us to get this moving. Because now that they're going after, they had Trump going after a neoliberal, neoliberal, leader. Now they want to investigate. Not when he's paying off Stormy Daniels. Not when he's doing business with other national governments while he's in the presidency, which is
it's pretty much that's against most of the articles of the presidency.
And things of that nature.
At least one of them, sorry.
And not obstruction of justice. They didn't want to go after any of that stuff. But now because they need to cover for Joe Biden and his corruption, because the last thing they want is a repeat of what happened in 2015, 2016, which is a great deal of the election itself and a great deal of the turnoff. No, a great deal of the turnoff for Hillary Clinton was the fact that we knew that she was a crook going into it. Well, I mean,
you can say what you will about Hillary Clinton, but the more that we're starting to talk about the impeachment articles with Donald Trump, you got to start looking deeper into Joe Biden. And I think Donald Trump isn't stupid in this. Like I won't say he's a very calculating person. I mean, I can't say he's not. He's worth a lot of money. What I will say is I feel like he's not stupid in setting Joe Biden up maybe to put his own neck in the news or maybe to have the Democrats do it to themselves, because the more you dig into him on this situation.
Eastside Harold has a question. He says, so are you guys conservatives or pro-blacks? Can you those aren't you can be both. You can be a pro-black conservative.
I'm a human being, bro. Like, but I don't really do.
But I'm not.
Do labels,
but
that's a good question, though. But I'm just a human being.
I try to see everything from what it is. You can be a pro-black conservative, Eastside Harold.
Yeah, good question, though. I mean,
it's like it's almost sad. I think that's sad that it's like, oh, you guys conservative or pro-black.
Look.
Like I know that
question
I know
right there made me think of some shit Joe Biden said earlier this year when he said, "How did he say that? I quote, well, It's like when you're rich or
doesn't matter if you're poor. Yeah, you're poor. No, your poor kids can do the same things as
the
white kids.
kids.
and black kids and Chinese kids.
Right. Good question though. I like how you worded it.
So Eastside Herald, are you guys concerned? I'm not what anyone would call conservative by any estimation.
No,
pro-black. I'm definitely pro-black. I'm definitely a pro-black person. Straight up.
I'm pro-black pride. I'm not pro-black everything. There's a lot of niggery shit that goes on that I'm just not a fan of.
I drive a black car.
And
I got a black card. It's not a credit card.
To all the stupidity that black people tend to set themselves up for. But I'm definitely pro-black pride. But getting back to the other part of this, that story that really makes me feel some kind of way. Giuliani, I don't know how he. Worst got to have working for you. It's fuck Giuliani every time I get a chance to say it. I don't get to say it too often, but he's another person that's always seemingly around some shit that just. Ever since 2011, ever since 2001, I'm sorry, I've always not liked Rudy Giuliani. It's just something about him. Yeah, the way he was walking through downtown, or the way that he was walking through New York in Manhattan, marching with the first responders. I get it. You was the president, or you was the mayor of New York at the time. But outside of that one borough, New York was suffering horribly under Mayor Giuliani.
Listen, bro, you don't even have to justify it.
All right, cool. As long as, because I know some people like, why is he talking about Giuliani?
Moves weird.
I mean, Giuliani is just one of them type of people where it's just like, if you watch Game of Thrones, he's like Meister Kyber. He's always in the mix where some shit come up bad, dog, and you're like, this nigga always around some bad shit, but nothing ever happens to him. I mean, him being on the phone, you're not even a part of this. You're the lawyer to the president. You're not even a part of you're not even a part of his staff.
Well, that's one thing that people are saying. He's not someone that was vetted by Congress.
Right,
and nominated.
Why is this allowed?
He wasn't nominated by the president and then, voted for our Congress. And so
this is it's an egregious.
He's serving. He can't serve in any official capacity.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
In terms of foreign policy decisions.
This is a usurpment of the presidency, of the office of the presidency, and that thing. Like, I've never been a really political person until maybe about 2012, 2013. I vote. I pay attention to shit, but I keep it local. It wasn't until I started to see just how like the people that are getting involved that shouldn't be involved. There's people that are helping this country shape policies and shape the way things are done on a regular day-to-day basis that shouldn't even have the credentials to do so.
Absolutely.
Like, I get it. He was a mayor, so he's got some security clearance. But where in the fuck is the security clearance to talk to an international leader?
He actually does not have.
You have to have some security clearance.
He has certain. He can be on the West Wing.
I know that's what I'm saying, but that's what I'm saying.
But no, he's got no clearance to deal with.
That's what I just said. Where is your security clearance to talk to an international leader? There's no. You're a mayor.
Right.
You have to follow the chain of command.
And I think, and so that's, to me, this is where you get when we're talking about impeachment, that what the president is doing, they're arguing over whether it's legal or illegal. Is it corrupt or not? Because the system is corrupt. And sometimes people are taking advantage of corrupt in the system where it's not illegal to do, but it's a corrupt practice. What Joe Biden did, is it legal?
It's very corrupt.
It's not illegal. It's very corrupt.
Nepotism is always bad, but it is what it is.
And so we can't get into an argument about whether something's legal or not. The reason you can't make it a battle of whether something is legal or not is because it doesn't matter if even he straight up broke the law. He's not going to be kicked out of office. No. Because the thing is that they don't have the votes in the Senate. The Republicans have the majority of the Senate. There's not enough votes to get rid of the president.
As soon as the House puts it through, is the day you'll stop hearing about it.
Right. So
until Donald Trump runs out his election or his term in office, because we all know the Senate's not going to fuck around and do anything against Donald Trump right now. Mitch McConnell certainly, even if there are enough people to stray against party lines, Mitch McConnell's gonna dead it. He's gonna find a way to dead it. He's got enough weight on enough people on seats right now where he can get them to dead it, even if they thought about going the other way.
Well, he decides the agenda,
right?
And so it's just not on the agenda.
And it's definitely. I mean, there's more important things.
It's just not on the.
And this brings me to voting. So this is why it's very important to register to vote, get out and vote. 2020 to me, I feel like it's a crux year. This could really determine the way the next 20 or 30 years of this country goes. I don't think it's ever been such more. I hate to say that crisis point term, but I think this is probably the most critical time that I've seen our country, a critical crossroads our country's come to in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Tricky Dick was definitely, Watergate was definitely something to look at, but he didn't make it very long into his presidency. You know what I mean? He wasn't able to affect the kind of change that Donald Trump was able to affect with the limited amount of time he had. Plus, he was fighting something that, I mean, there was no way for him to have the trust of the people. Like, everybody knew it was cracking. So interesting. Again, register to vote, man. Get out and put your vote on the table. I know
that was
a lot.
His second term.
That was his second term. Richard Nixon. I don't think it was like. Well, I said he wasn't that deep into it. I think it was the second year of his term.
It was like not even that. He was like very quickly into his second term. He wasn't far into his second term
when they came for him. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, I didn't know it was 2 terms. Actually, I did not know he served 2 terms. Thank you for the education. And I went to Richard Nixon Museum.
That's why Gerald Ford had damn near a whole term.
Oh, that's right. The only time he ever got it, he tried to run for election, but not get it again. Let's not let this happen again. That's all I guess I'm saying at the end of the day.
So what is your prediction? Do you have any bold prediction or any kind of
a bold prediction about the actual impeachment?
Yeah,
it'll never happen. We talked about this earlier. Remember, where I was like, you were like, it could happen as quickly as 4 months. That's how quickly they move. That's why I brought it up.
Well, now you're on record.
Okay, so yeah.
So now
he said on the record, OTR.
Right.
I don't think anything will come of it. I don't think anything will come of it. I think, like I said before,
I don't think he'll be kicked out of office, but I think that it can be something that's used to the political advantage of the Democrats if they position it correctly. I don't think that right now I don't think that the Democrats are framing it correctly for any kind of political gain. It's almost like they shouldn't have went through it, but it's actually their job to do. So I do, on that level, appreciate them at least making the effort.
Well, I think that if there's one thing that I think both parties are going to learn from this, if nothing else comes of it, is that there needs to be stronger procedures around who the president is allowed, or not even is allowed, but who's allowed the access to the president as much as they do. Because a lot of the people that have gone down around Donald Trump or been, convicted of crimes, I mean, they're just it's questionable people to have around the White House. So maybe we work a little harder on vetting the people the president has around them, and maybe limiting that access. I don't know, but I think that there needs to be some look at how much power the president or the office of president has, and definitely how to balance the power moving forward. Because egregious. That's the word I use every time we talk about any of the policies or any of the executive orders that Donald Trump is egregious. Starting with the travel ban, all the way back to the egregious. If not racially egregious, morally, socially, financially egregious. And if you voted for Donald Trump and you were on the fence the last time, just think about your tax problems these years. Egregious. You voted for that.
Okay.
But as always, here to shoot a fat with y'all. We love doing this. I love doing it. I don't know if you love doing it.
Yeah.
He said he's getting over it because he doesn't like it. This is my character. He doesn't know if he can work with the man.
Okay, so something really important before we go. Something really important that I got to bring up. Right now, Soapbox Hero Network is at we're approaching 700 subscriptions, and we're trying to get to 1,000 because. Well, for obvious reasons, right? We want to get to 1,000 subscribers.
Who doesn't want to have 1,000 subscribers? But most importantly, because we want to improve. Matter of fact, bright note to bring up. Thank you for saying that. We're working on the studio here where we're at. You know what I'm saying? Expect to see massive upgrades in the next couple of weeks coming up here.
Looking better, sounding better,
feeling better, feeling better. I mean, we're going to take our game to the next level ourselves.
We're going to be doing the electric boogaloo.
We're going to get some people to come in here and talk with us so you ain't just looking at the same 2 faces every time.
Do my own stunts, Jackie Chan.
Like I said, I mean, we're going to really always we're always going to press the line, but We're going to make sure that in the next coming weeks, you guys get to see it much different, the best case scenario.
Yeah. So if there's anything that you guys want us to cover, any suggestions, comments, concerns, go ahead and put it in there.
Inboxes, hit us up. We got Facebook pages, we got Twitter
don't forget
pages.
To like, subscribe, anything
hit
like
that notification bell.
If you're conservative or pro-black.
Or pro-black. Or both. You never know. You never know. You can flip that quarter two ways. But as always, what was it? Oh, so yes, we are going to be definitely working on getting more subscribers. That's the point of that. We're working on trying to make this thing better for everybody, especially you, the viewer.
Yes. So, with that being said, we are going to see you guys next week. Again, we'll have an update on the trial. Amber Geiger trial.
We'll keep you updated on everything we talk about. We're gonna keep pressure on that trial.
It'll be more meat on the bone than on that.
I can't wait to see how. You know what's really cool too? I really want to see how they use that to their advantage. I want to see what the defense uses or what the defense says about this whole text thing. Because that actually could be a hole in the defense in the prosecution. They might use that. Because, one of the things that you're saying is one of the arguments I can imagine a defense attorney really saying, which is you're trying to paint her to a jury as a bad person. How do we get a fair trial if that's immediately what you're presenting to the jury? You know what I mean? So, always fair point of view. But I am D. Johnson.
I'm friend of the people.
And this has been your broadcast for the day. Hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. We will see you again soon. We out.